Boom.
Boom.
Love it.
Let's do it. Let's drill it.
Boom.
Boom.
It really the mic's very hot when you scream into it like that.
I know. I just saw that. It peaked.
It peaked. Peak.
But you know what piques my interest?
What, Mr. Jason?
Our guest today. Who do we have, Mr. Craig?
We've got, some might call him JT, but we'll call him Justin Thomas. Welcome, Justin, to the Insurance Suits.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, and you got to see behind the scenes of how it takes us about a half hour to get set up.
I will give it to you guys, though. You guys know a little bit more about technology, and you've got mics going on. Not a lot of other insurance agents get into dealing with that stuff. So at least you guys are charging head first through the problem, just figuring it out yourselves.
Just diving right in. So not sure if you've listened to the show before, but we're going to run you through the gauntlet with everyone's favorite, speed breakers.
Ooh,
yeah. Speed breakers. Are you ready?
I guess so, yeah.
All right, here we go. No, time on the clock. Ever had a mullet?
No.
First crush?
Age or name or what?
That's your call.
First grade.
Most embarrassing thing your mom ever caught you doing?
Are there any passes or skips?
Yes. So you know what's interesting about that question is every time you see sweat start to come down, and then if they say something besides what the obvious answer is, then so good job passing. What's fastest speed ever driven?
115.
Nice. That is respectable. Favorite cereal?
Cheerios.
How many kids?
One.
Have you made cry? Sorry, please wait for the.
Probably too many to count.
Good. Count Chocula or Count Dracula?
Count Dracula.
I thought so. When you said Cheerios, I thought it would go to Dracula. Fastest mile?
6 minutes.
Favorite flavor?
Chocolate.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs for sure.
We still haven't had to end an interview. Tacos or burritos?
Burritos.
Favorite video game?
Probably Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2.
Ooh, very specific.
Nice.
And Trump or Biden? You don't have to answer that one. Oh, okay, good. So I think Jason has one last question for you.
JT, take us back. What was the first concert you ever went to?
So I know the answer to this. I don't remember it. It was Leanne Rimes because my older brother was obsessed with her, but I was like 3 years old. Yeah.
Oh, so you remember that you went, but you don't remember it.
Exactly. Yeah. Like there's pictures and like, your parents tell you that you were there.
Yeah. You were holding a doobie and you're only 3. It's just phenomenal. They're like, look at this, will be funny. Well, perfect. So why don't you take us back to that concert, which you don't remember, and move forward from there. How did you end up in the insurance world, which is everybody's dream job?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's a lot of years in there that don't really have to do with this answer. So I'll kind of skip forward to just went like the kind of traditional route, graduated from high school, went to college. Junior year of college was at a point where I was like, hey, I probably need to start figuring out my life. Most people probably don't do that till they actually graduate college. But I was thinking about it a little bit sooner than maybe some other people do. Yeah. And actually ended up getting an internship at Northwestern Mutual, and I really enjoyed that. They have kind of more like the financial advising background, and loved what everybody seems to sell when it comes to the insurance world, the insurance industry, is that you can set your own schedule, you're a business owner, you're an entrepreneur, that type of thing. And then just kind of went through their process, which is creating a list of people that you know, getting your warm market, all that type of stuff. And I actually liked it, probably more than other people do, or especially consumers do when they think of insurance. But just decided that at that point in my life, probably I just didn't know that like digital marketing existed, which I really wish I would have known back then. And it definitely existed. I just didn't know what all you could do with it. So decided to go get a corporate job and went into that as soon as I graduated. Did that for a year. And I'm just not the type of person that's meant to be an employee at all. I'd be my worst employee right now. Like I wouldn't hire myself. But as an entrepreneur, I'm pretty good at it. But spent all of my time in that full-time job trying to figure out how to make money online. And I came across selling on Amazon. In these next like several years, there's just a lot of trial and error when it comes to entrepreneurship, as I'm sure a lot of like you guys are probably familiar with, and seems to be the case with most entrepreneurs. But we were selling, me and my then girlfriend, now wife, we were selling weighted blankets on Amazon. And then those quickly became saturated on Amazon. So we had to learn how to build our own website. So we built our own website, and then we learned that it's not a field of dreams. If you build it, they will come. We actually had to learn how to drive traffic to the website. So then from there, learned Facebook ads, YouTube ads, Google ads, and started driving traffic to the website. That business did okay, but it was nothing to where I could, bank the rest of my life. I wasn't going to become a multimillionaire from that business. So,
how big is the market for weighted blankets?
Well, I mean, we were doing at one point. The problem is that it's seasonal. So like October, November, December, we would do like 50, 60K per month in revenue.
Wow.
Yeah. But then the rest of the year, like nothing. It would go down to like 2 or 3K per month. But
now,
profit margins on that was like 30 to 40%. And that's just with us too. So like if we really want to scale it out, hire people, those profits would go back down. So, I mean, it was good. Go ahead.
With weighted blankets, aren't they useful for people with
autism?
Like processing? Yes.
Yeah.
People that talk too much, you could just throw it over them and hold them down.
Yeah, that's kind of like the main market for it. And then it really started to get popular with kind of using it for benefits of just getting more higher quality sleep. And that's kind of when a lot more started entering the market.
I got one, and it's 20 pounds, and I think that I went too heavy.
Okay.
Like it is pretty dang heavy. Like it might be 25 pounds. Like I went, like everything, I went to the max. I'm like, oh, what's the most? And I got that one. And it's like, 20 pounds is a lot of weight. Like when you try to carry it around, I brought it in the van and it was like, what is this?
Yeah. 20 pounds is a lot. We've got a 20, we've got a 15, and we've got a 12, and 15's like perfect for me. Yeah, 20 pounds, especially like, when you try and like pick it up or like bring it around with you, it gets to be a little bit too much.
I bet you didn't know you were going to get a plug for your weighted blanket site, but what is that site? Because I want to get a 15 pounder.
So it's actually not up anymore because it became such a nightmare. Our brand was just JM Weighted Blankets because I actually started with a business partner. So it was J for Justin and M for Matt. Real creative we were. Beginning days. It's not still up anymore. We don't sell on Amazon. We actually just donated the last of them because we got to a point where I thought it was a good idea to order a ton of them, and so we ordered like 1,000 of them, and there was a shipping error because we got them from China, and they didn't package them correctly. So then we just got them all shipped to my house. And as the biggest nightmare in the world, I self-fulfilled them for a while, and I was just like, I'm never dealing with physical products or e-commerce ever again. So, yeah, that's kind of the end to that business. But in between there, in and out, decided that we had learned Facebook ads and YouTube ads and the advertising side of things, and I really liked that. And So my wife and I started just a small, just the two of us, digital marketing agency in Omaha and tried to get some clients. And we had a random assortment of clients. So we had dentists, we had estheticians, we had gas stations, we had Krav Maga gyms. But my most successful clients we had were the insurance agents that we worked with back when I was at Northwestern Mutual. And so we really dropped all of these other clients just because we decided we wanted to go and niche down. And then we got to a point where we had to decide, do we want to continue to run ads for people? Do we want to really scale with this agency side of things where we're going to have to hire people? Do we want to go that model, or do we want to go and pivot and teach people? Because we had actually had some of the agents, they just wanted to learn how to do it themselves because they didn't want to continue to pay $1,000, $2,000 month over month for a marketing agency. They're just like, you just teach me how to do it. And so between those two decisions, teaching someone how to do it, seeing them get better results than we even did doing it for them, and not wanting to hire out tons of people and potentially give up a lot of the profit margin, we switched over to the consulting model of it. And we've been doing that for about 3 years now. So your initial question was, how do I get into insurance? That was through college. And then since then, haven't really sold since college, about 5 years ago. I've more been on the marketing side of things with insurance.
What college?
University of Nebraska.
Oh, cool. Cornhuskers.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you about this space, because iOS whatever the heck has just come out, and it seems to have a pretty significant impact on this. We see it on our ads, the banner across the top. Hey, it's not going to work anymore. The Pixel, blah blah blah. So can you talk to us about that and how you've navigated around that issue?
Yeah. So,
and maybe even talk about what that is, because I bet you there's some folks on here that don't even know what the Pixel is.
Yeah, definitely. So Apple and Facebook are kind of at a war with each other. And with this newest iOS update, Apple has started releasing a mandate with all of their apps where they have to ask the customer if they want to be tracked. And they don't specifically say Facebook, but it really is just targeting Facebook. So they're basically like, do you want your actions in this app to be tracked by third-party developers or marketers or whatever it is? And most people, we actually don't know what's going to happen, right? Because it's relatively new. It's like only been active for about a month, if not less than that. So the idea is that most people are going to choose that they don't want to be tracked, but truthfully, we don't know how that's going to actually end up happening. Because if people don't get tracked, they're going to start having a worse user experience on Facebook and Instagram, because they're going to start getting random ads. It's not going to be actually tailored to what they want. So in the long run, people will probably end up coming back to opting in to being allowed to be tracked. But most people's guesses, as far as advertisers are thinking, is that most people are going to say, no, I don't want to be tracked. So where that's really going to affect you within Facebook is, will the pixel, so to describe what the pixel is, it's just a little piece of code that you can copy and paste into your website. So when people go from a Facebook ad over to your website, they're no longer on the Facebook platform anymore. Facebook can still see some of the actions that they're doing in order to optimize some of the ads going on. So what the update will do if people opt out of tracking is it's really going to affect optimization of ads, which is Facebook's like number one tool when it comes to like beating out their competitors for ad platforms, because Facebook does a really, really good job of just knowing who your right customers are, even if your targeting is not very good. And without the ability to actually track that anymore, that's going to start coming down. So your ad optimization, as time goes on, typically in the past, your ads would get better as Facebook would watch who clicks on it, who opts in, who becomes a lead, who becomes an appointment, who buys. If you can tell Facebook all that stuff, your ads should get smarter. But now, without being able to tell Facebook that, your ads will probably not get smarter. And then the other side of the coin is retargeting audiences, which is Facebook's like second most used tool in their belt. most people, when it comes to Facebook, their goal is to just get enough data to then use a retarget, a lookalike audience. Because what a lookalike audience is, it just takes, say you have 100 customers, you give it to Facebook and you say, create a lookalike audience. Facebook will go find a percentage of the population in your area or your country that are most similar to those people. So it helps with targeting. But without the ability to track all of these things, Facebook's lookalike audiences are going to not perform as well either. So there's a couple things that you can do to combat this. The first thing is investing in understanding and getting really good at tracking. You could do all of that on your own, use UTMs to really track things yourself, or there's a couple different softwares out there that figure out how to track really well, and they just track it a lot better, and then they feed that information back to Facebook for you. And then the other thing is putting a lot more time and focus into your images, in your ad copy, and all of your creative, because a lot of people have relied very heavily on audiences for the last 3 or 4 years, and that Facebook's just going to find the right customers. But now with that not being the case, we need to use ad copy in order to reach our customers and push away people that aren't customers, and rely a lot heavier on the actual ad side of things.
So you're saying if I opt out of it, I'm going to start getting served like ladies underwear, which would be different for me. Jason already is getting served ladies underwear.
Okay.
So won't change for him, but no.
Are you sure it's ladies?
I don't know. Are there genders?
No, there's not. Oh. Continue.
Yeah, but I mean, those are really the two ways that you can combat that with the iOS updates coming up.
Cool, man. What are you seeing like going forward in the space? What gets you excited about marketing this year?
Yeah, so well, I want to ask you guys, is your audience, and do you guys focus more on PNC, or do you do much with like life, health, annuities, retirement, that type of stuff?
I would say we're
split.
Yeah. Maybe a little bit more PNC, but we do have life and health. We've interviewed Cody Askins and David Dufort have both been on it, and I'm sure you're on YouTube, so you've seen both of those gentlemen.
Yeah. I was kind of thinking that you guys were more PNC. So, really, most of my clients that I work with are life and retirement, Medicare, and health. And this might be a good discussion to have with you guys, is because one of the things I've been working on that really excites me is using funnels to bring people to you, rather than just creating like typical type leads that you then have to outbound work. You have to outbound call, you have to use like automation in order to get those people to work. So I like to use video and funnels to bring people to me. But what we're seeing is that cost per appointment is between like $40 all the way up to $140. So whenever I talk to a PNC agent, especially ones that only focus on like auto and maybe home, there's not enough margin for that type of advertising to work. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Right.
Does that sound accurate?
Yeah.
Well, I think it depends. It depends on what that acquisition cost is at the end. If that appointment is going to result in 50% of the time being closed business, I mean, I'd pay $80 acquisition all day long. We'll pay $250. But if you only close 5% of those appointments, then it's not going to work, right? Then you have an $800 acquisition cost. Too much.
Well, I think it's also the type of policy it is, right? The life and health is more of an emotional kind of policy, right? Where the PNC policy is more of a, hey, I have to do this. It doesn't really fulfill that same kind of need.
Yeah. It's more of an argument.
It's more of a chase. Yeah. So it's like more of like a commodity type of beginning. Not so much down the funnel, but the beginning is where the beginning of like life and health is more of a pull at the heartstrings kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I think everybody enters that. Like you can't start a PNC funnel by telling them that you bring all this value and it's better to pay more, right? You have to meet them and just like, hey, I mean, look at every billboard. You know that all the big carriers have spent a lot of money on market research to determine that everybody thinks it's a commodity, right?
Yeah.
In fact, I think the Lizard and the and Flow both have spent billions of dollars to tell everybody that it's a commodity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what captive carriers and even independents who are selling multiple different for different carriers have to combat, right? But you still have to get them in the funnel. So when you get them in, it's this, hey, we're going to save you some money, blah, 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 and then you slow it down and you have a different conversation as you progress through.
Yeah, I don't think you can. I read some marketing books where they were saying where you can't really you can't create desire, right? Desire is already there. So how do you tap into that? And really, the desire of most of the PNC isn't a desire for more coverage, because then you'd have to train them from square one. They're so far from knowing that part. That converse to take a cold audience and get them to create the desire of more coverage. I mean, you can't scale that, but the desire usually at the beginning of that funnel is a price based conversation. So I think that's the only way that is the desire at the beginning. That's what you have to tap into. That's a tough one.
I think very rarely does that call start with, "Hey, I was shopping around for higher policy limits." You know, like that just doesn't happen. It's I'm looking for a better deal. Like that's how 99.9% of the things like, "Hey, I want higher policy limits in an umbrella. Is that something you can help me with?" Like it just they don't know what an umbrella is. They don't know what their coverage limits are. They think they have full coverage and they have state minimum.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they know what the one that protects you from the rain is, but not the other one.
I hope.
Well, I mean, if they don't, then you're really in for it.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Well, that's good to know because, I mean, as far as like those appointments, they close so much more. My clients tell me that they like them better than referrals. But what you said makes a lot of sense though, right? Because in life and health and retirement, like we put them through a 10 to 15 minute video before they book an appointment. That's because we want to talk. We want to talk about emotion. We want to get them emotionally invested. We want to talk about some benefits and things like that. Rarely ever are we talking about price. But with PNC, I don't even know if they'd want to sit through a 10 to 15 minute video, at least not at the beginning. And so that's it's definitely interesting.
Yeah,
like,
that's interesting. On the life side, do they like if okay, you get the lead, they come through, you're talking to them or whoever is talking to them, right? To start a conversation, do the exploration, create the rapport, all that stuff. And then they do the presentation. Is a common objection, well, okay, I'm going to go talk to a few more life agents and then I'll make a decision. Like, is that something that comes up or is that pretty rare?
Pretty rare because most of what I teach is to try and like find a hook that doesn't revolve around life insurance, right? So most people that go through these type of funnels, like we don't even pull them from, we don't use Google search ads as a traffic source because those people are too hot, they're too problem aware. They don't want to sit through a 10 to 15 minute video either. So if somebody's like literally looking for life insurance sake, then they might have that objection. But most of the time, like when we're bringing people in, it's we're trying to find a hook, we're trying to find a pain that they haven't thought of, right? So it's using like cash value life insurance as a retirement vehicle, or it's using like non-ACA health insurance for people that are healthy or make too much money to get subsidies for health insurance. So it's finding these different ways, and it's also focusing. I teach all of my people I work with, and my philosophy is just really niching down. And I believe in niching down in a way that most insurance agents aren't familiar with. Most insurance agents, when they think of niching, they think of product, right? They're going to niche by final expense or Medicare or PNC. But at the end of the day, even inside of those product niches, there's so many different levels of people, right? And so somebody that's been making like $1 million a year for the last 40 years compared to somebody making like 30K per year for the last 40 years, those people are going to respond vastly different to different advertisements. And so what I like to do is I like to focus on creating your own, blue ocean, coming up with your own way to niche people together, clusters of people that have similar pain points based on the insurance that you want to sell them or the financial product that you want to sell them, and then become the expert with those types of people. Then you can sell multiple different policies too, which gives you longer lifetime value.
Love that.
Yeah.
What are they seeing on the as a close ratio on those? Because they're obviously pretty teed up.
Yeah. So I mean, it's tough to give like a number because they vary so differently between agent with their sales ability. But like, one of my best guys, he closes like 60 to 70%, but he was also doing like 50% with appointments that he had as appointment setter bringing in. So he's just a really good closer. I would say like more average number is like 25 to 30 close rate.
Not bad.
No, especially like when you consider a lot of these people come from having to call 50 leads, get a hold of 5 of them, and then or get a hold of 10. Close rates are a lot lower on those, but then you also have to call through so many of them. So we let the technology do that work for the agents.
You got to. It's 2021.
Right.
It's true.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, it's crazy. The amount of people that are still out there using a spreadsheet and knocking on doors, and they have never made a video. And so much stuff they're missing out on.
So what would you, the agents that have the most success, what are some of their characteristics that stand out to you?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So as far as characteristics, I would say outgoing, being open. They don't have to be great on camera. They don't have to be great on audio coming in, but they need to be willing to learn and understand that like people don't want to just watch dull boringness. Like they want your personality into it. And it doesn't have to be like a specific personality. You just have to be excited about what you're talking about. So someone that's like not afraid to learn those things. And then ultimately, I think like there's 2 really characteristics that are very important to success. First one is discipline. So someone that can actually sit down to work and get some stuff done and do it over and over and over again. And then somebody that won't give up, because as an entrepreneur, the only thing that's guaranteed is you're going to have problems. And so your ability to persevere and push through those is absolutely necessary if you're going to be an entrepreneur.
So true. You have to be ready for constant problems. And I think once something goes really well, it's like, okay, it's coming, right? Because it is just a cycle up and down.
Yeah.
And I love what you said about enthusiasm too, because nobody connects with just dull, especially with a subject that the vast majority of the public finds extremely boring. So you do have to sexy it up with some really good tonality and fast tempo, or not fast tempo, but upbeat. You have to be upbeat. We train our teams that way. We train all the teledudes, telemarketers. It is just nonstop. The focus is on how you've got to be excited, because ain't no way the person on the other end of the phone is going to get excited about this insurance if you aren't bringing the heat, and you just have to be fired up. Love it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can't expect them to be more excited than you. Like that will never happen. So you have to be up here if you want them to be here. And then the other thing, I like that you said that, like upbeat tone, because I think a lot of the people, especially with Medicare agents or people who their demographic is older, they have this tendency to just slow down and talk to them like 3-year-olds. And especially in video, they hate that. Like they don't want to sit through you just like super slowly going through the words. And maybe some of them might have hearing issues, but still, like, they appreciate upbeat and excitement too. And a lot of people just don't realize that. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. So, where, well, first off, where can people go to learn more about what you do before we?
Yeah, thanks. I mean, my website's probably going to be the easiest place. It's insuranceadvertisingmasters.com. And then I've been a little bad about it this year, putting out YouTube videos. But if you type in Justin Thomas Insurance on YouTube, I'll come up on there. And I'm planning to put a lot more content out. So I really enjoy putting out YouTube videos. It's just easy to get caught up in the business side of things, as I'm sure you guys realize. And so making content a commitment is something I need to work on. But yeah,
You got to put that on the calendar and make it happen, because I mean, it's so easy to get caught up on all the other stuff,
right.
And it's the most fun. And that's the best part.
Right. Exactly.
That's why we made a virtual Craig, and that's what you see here. It's
this isn't
not
even
actual
me.
Craig. It's
No, it's a robot.
It's content, Craig.
Yeah, it's amazing. CGI.
Yeah, that's good.
With AI. So, well, great, man. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Awesome to have you. Some great knowledge nuggets, and folks can. Jason's.
I got
his
one
finger.
last question.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, fire away, buddy.
I would have to ask, what is the number one piece of advice you'd give to any insurance agent, either coming into the industry or somebody who's been in the industry that wants to kickstart this whole social media craze that all the kids are talking about?
Yeah, great
Kids
question.
talking about
it? It should be. First thing is, don't be afraid of social media, and understand that if you want to continue to compete for the next 10 years, you have to embrace it. And the second thing is, understand traffic, and your goal needs to be with everything, getting all of these different mediums of traffic into a place where you own it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you just have a huge following on one platform, or even, it doesn't even have to be huge, regardless, if you have a following on one platform, if you start to get views and things like that, you don't necessarily own that traffic. It could disappear any day with an algorithm change. So understanding things that are true assets, like an email list, figuring out a way to convert these views into actual emails that you own. And then also some other good assets that I see right now are having a podcast, having a YouTube channel, or a Facebook group, because these are all things that you have a lot more control of, that, rather than just posting to social media, because those are very, very heavily regulated and controlled by the algorithms, whereas these other things, they tend to have a longer shelf life. So focusing on the things that are truly going to help you in the long term of your business, and ignoring the other shiny stuff a little bit.
That
Leverage,
is great stuff.
That is good stuff. No, it's true to look at it that way, because I do see this is that people get in that mode of, hey, I'm just going to post videos and just whatever, right? Just like pictures and this and that, and it only goes out to like a small fraction of their friends, and it's not even going out to anybody else. And it's like, what a waste of. I mean, you do need to leverage the tools that those social media platforms have given us to build our own audiences. I love that.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool, man. JT went the distance, especially after all the technical difficulties and craziness.
Yep. The chance of COVID.
That's true. That's true. There's a chance.
There is.
So thank you, JT. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Thank
course.
you.
Thanks
Pleasure to have you. Great to meet you. You're an officer and a gentleman.
Thanks, guys. It was a pleasure being on.
Yeah. We'll see you down the road.